Hi, welcome to my show. My name is Susan Rushton and this is Olio. And before I go any further, I want, as always, to explain what Olio is. It's short for olla podrida, which is Spanish for rotten bowl or rotten pot. I love that. It's a Spanish-Portuguese dish with essentially everything in it. Pork in all its iterations, pig's feet, bacon, sausage, as well as chicken and chickpeas and cabbage and carrots, beans, pig's ears, onions and garlic. As I said, everything in the world in it except maraschino cherries and candy corn. That's one definition. Another definition is that olio is what comes in between acts of a melodrama. So you might have somebody juggling, you might have somebody singing, you might have somebody doing a skit, and none of it has anything to do with anything else, and none of it has anything to do with the melodrama. So in other words, it's apples, oranges, and it's apples and oranges. Actually, it's because there's no connection between one show and the other. This is one show, and my next show will be another. So today, my guests are people I highly admire, which is no surprise. Linda Lobu, who is Executive Director of Sight Word Busters. Sight Word Busters, sightwordbusters.org, and they are at 629 Lincoln Way, Suite 301 in Auburn. And Steve Young, sightwordbusters.org, who is board president. Welcome, friends. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And before we go any further, I need to explain, you see all of us wearing these things. This is the Sight Word Busters pride thing. This is what we wear in the classroom, which means I do this as well. And I've done this since last October. And it took me long enough to become a volunteer for Sight Word Busters, and I'm thrilled that I have done this. I have fallen in love with second graders. Okay, so Linda, what is Sight Word Busters?
Well, before I answer that, you talked about how important this little badge is, but it's most important because it holds the all-important stickers. And we work with youngsters, little guys, and we give them a sticker every single day, no matter how much they learn. We give them a sticker, and this also has our pencil. So now, Susan, what is Sight Word Busters? Sight Word Busters is an 501c3 nonprofit organization that recruits.
Excuse me, did it just become a 501c3?
This, I believe, is our
8th year?
I was going to say
Okay,
8th
okay.
year.
Like that.
Excuse me.
Yeah. So we recruit, train, and place volunteers in primary grades in local elementary schools.
Yeah.
To help
Okay.
students learn important words they need in order to become successful readers.
Yes. Yeah. For example, the examples I give is that hand is easy, knife is not. This is English, and English is a ridiculous language. You heard it here first. English is ridiculous, and if you are 6, 7, 8, and expect things to be reasonable, you're going to be disappointed. So what they need to do is this is knife, 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 and then they'll get it eventually.
That is correct. We focus in our books, we focus on the most common words that appear in the English language. They're called high-frequency words, for example, the, which you will see more times in print than any other word. And many of these sight words are high-frequency words are phonetically spelled, but many are not.
Yeah.
And children need to be able to read all of these words in order to become successful readers.
Even though the words may not make any sense.
That is correct.
Yeah. the or the or the.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah. So, Steve, how long have you been involved?
I think, excuse me, I think maybe 8 years. I initially was recruited by Linda to.
You're kidding.
Yes, yes. Linda is a great recruiter.
Yes, she is.
And very, very skillful at hooking you.
Yes.
Really,
You'd be wonderful. You'd be wonderful.
that's it. That's exactly what she said. Any rate, she hooked me in to become the treasurer of this organization. At the time, it was being formed as a 501c3.
Yeah.
And so I jumped at the chance. I have to admit, I was excited about seeing how this would operate. And being treasurer was something that I enjoy playing with. I love the numbers. And I love making things balance and work.
Oh, I'm so pleased they found you.
Yes.
Oh, we were.
Jack never have asked me.
So that's how I began.
Yeah.
Not only that, but Steve's being very humble. He is a trained teacher, administrator, principal, and even a superintendent. Has been throughout his career. And so having that as part of our board of directors has been extremely beneficial with that amount of background knowledge in education and management.
Yes. Okay. Now, do you both do the work that your volunteers do?
I do. I'm in the classroom several times a week, working with first graders.
Okay.
And never thought I'd try first grade again. I tried to teach first grade once in my career and found it the most challenging experience of my educational life. So this has been absolutely marvelous to go back and deal with first graders again.
Yes.
And I love them. I could do it. I teach first grade now.
In a way, you teach first grade. Yeah. And what we need to say is that people don't stand up in front of the group in a classroom. Instead,
this is a one-on-one opportunity for both the students and the volunteer to work very closely with individual students at their own pace. If a student takes longer to learn words on a page, then they have that time with the volunteer. The volunteer sits in the classroom for 1 hour and moves through every youngster in the classroom. Every youngster in the classroom has their very own book, and it's individualized. So the children that can learn faster, they get to proceed in the book faster. And those that need more time, they get the time they need. But we work with students, as you know, for just 2 minutes at a time. It's amazing what we can reinforce and really help children master with just focusing on one word on a list of 10 words. And we help them really master those words, see those so that they click in their brains, and then they're ready to continue moving forward.
Yeah. So it's 2 minutes per, if you can hold back.
Yes, sometimes we have to get on our volunteers and remind them.
2 minutes. Yes. But as a person who has done some memorizing of poetry, what one needs to do is say it over and over and over and over. It drives one crazy sometimes. Drives me crazy sometimes. It's so simple. Why doesn't it stay there? But once you do it enough, it stays there. And the same thing is true with these words that like where or when or whether or attitude or whatever. Especially the WH.
Oh,
those are tough. Those are tough. It seems easy for us now, but it's not easy for the 6-year-old.
They look so similar.
Yeah.
And we do teach our volunteers a couple of strategies that all the volunteers in that group use. Everybody uses the same strategy so that the children know what to expect and they get used to that particular routine, and it helps.
Yes. And I've had several kids come back to me knowing that all the words except one are circled, and they want to go to that word right now and say it because I know it, and they do. And it's been uncircled for days now, and they know it, and they're proud as punch. It's just really exciting.
You know, Susan, one of the best parts, I think, of the program is the opportunity for the volunteer to show how proud they are of the student, and that really does increase their self-confidence. And we know for a fact that if children need confidence, they need to know that they can do it, they need to feel successful, and then they will become more and more successful. Yes. They believe in themselves, and yes. They can grow.
Gosh, that sounds just like me. And I'm not a child. I need to be enthusiastic, have people be enthusiastic toward me, and I need people to say, yes, that's right. And that just because I'm not 5 or 6 doesn't mean I don't need that stuff. And they need it, and we need it.
They really benefit from it.
Yes. So how did this get started? How did Sight Word Busters become a reality?
Well, I moved to Auburn with my husband. He got a job offer here with the county, and I was a principal of a school, and I decided I was going to leave and come. I wasn't done working with students. I had learned a lot, and I decided that I wanted to continue to stay involved, so I gathered a couple of friends, my mother, my husband, and a couple of friends that I had, and said, let's form a little group and help students in this very important time in their lives. And Susan, I do want to mention one thing, and that is children have a window of opportunity to learn how to read, to become readers. Mm-hmm. And it's relatively small, this little window. It starts in TK or kinder and first. And if children are not successful readers, if they haven't learned how to read by the end of 2nd grade, it's really, really hard for them to catch up. So it makes sense that we would be focusing on those young kids. And these words happen to be, sight words happen to be one of the many components children need to master in order to become successful readers. So we started with that little piece. A couple of volunteers at Rock Creek said, sure, you can come down. And we started in their 2nd grade, actually, and then the 1st grade said we would like to have
us.
We want volunteers, and so did the kindergarten classroom. So we rounded up some more volunteers and worked with Rock Creek, and then the principal over at Alta Vista said,
I hear this is happening.
That's right. And actually that's just how we've spread. Different teachers will tell somebody teaching at another school, hey, we have Sight Word Busters. And they say, how can we get Sight Word Busters? They say, call the number. And so we just have continued to grow until we have about 120 classrooms with Sight Word Busters in them.
In Auburn?
Throughout. Actually, we have, through Colfax and Meta Vista and Rockland and Lincoln and Roseville and... did I say Lincoln?
Mostly Placer County.
Mostly Placer County.
But we have a few in Sacramento County.
Woo!
We have one in the Bay Area and one in Virginia.
Oh, how exciting.
But those are unique.
Yeah. How did Virginia hear about it?
Online.
Online. That school, the reading specialist was desperate. The school was in trouble with the state, and they needed some type of intervention, and they called and asked, and we said, well, we can try. So we trained them over the online and sent them books. And
how exciting.
Yes.
Yes. Wow. So 120 schools?
120 classrooms. 24 schools.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. What are you happiest about? This is not one of the questions I included in, but what makes you happiest?
I'll answer that first, and then we'll let Steve answer that. What makes me happiest, Susan, is number one, that the students are learning these important words in time. That makes me the happiest. And then something that has occurred that I didn't realize from the beginning is that volunteers really feel happy about being able to help students learn these words. And so
Yes.
I am, that makes me the happiest,
Yeah.
I think.
Yes.
How
Yeah.
about for you, Steve?
Yeah, I would agree. I think my sense of satisfaction knowing, one, that kids are getting the service, and two, we have all these volunteers, be they 7th and 8th graders, which we have going in, or high school students, or adults, a lot of people who are retired or close to retirement and giving their time, seeing them enjoy this interaction with kids, learning and having this very positive feedback about the kids gaining these skills. And so these adults really get a lot of satisfaction. I'm very happy about that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you said 7th and 8th graders and 5th and 6th graders?
We,
No, and 7th and 8th graders and
high school students,
high school students are where these
they are participating in going through the process that we developed and Linda has developed.
Okay.
And yeah, that's an exciting part too.
Oh my
We
goodness.
call them Buster Buddies,
Yeah.
and their badges are actually just a little different. They're a lighter color,
Uh-huh.
and they have pencils that say Buster Buddies
Okay.
and not sight word busters. And they give up one lunch period every week. They work in teams, and they go into the kindergarten classrooms. So they're sacrificing one lunch period.
Uh-huh.
They're learning how to work with children, watching them learn, and many of them are their little relatives or
Sure.
little friends, brothers and sisters, but they are learning what it feels like to do service at that early age and what it feels like to do a little sacrifice, and they love it. They get to be the keeper of the stickers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that for them to, and many of these students received sight word busters when they were in
I can
kindergarten and
imagine.
first grade.
Yes.
So
yes.
it's a great component of our sight word
Oh,
buster
my.
program.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So what I do this twice a week, on Monday and Wednesday at Rock Creek. And I'm supposed to spend an hour in there. Sometimes it's an hour and a half of that, but don't tell anybody I said that. But what you ask for basically is an hour a week from your volunteers.
And that we never have enough volunteers. And so I would like to make that very clear. You are a superstar that you go in and do 2 hours a week, which is filling the place of 2 volunteers instead of just one. So thank you very much for doing that,
You're welcome.
Susan.
My pleasure.
Well, so the commitment to be a sight word buster is just 1 hour a week. We only work 30 weeks. Anybody can make a commitment for 30 weeks, and we have a substitute program in place. Many of our volunteers are retired and they need to travel, or they have an operation, or their spouse has an operation coming in. We have a way to get folks covered.
Sure.
So it is if you enjoy working with kids and you're passionate about having children become successful readers, speaking to an avid reader, then this is an opportunity for anybody. And I know there are people out there that say, I didn't know about sight word busters. I could do that, give an hour a week.
Yeah.
We provide all the training.
Yeah.
And the placement, and you get to choose your day of the week, and the morning hours are pretty much set. But
Yeah. And you also wonder, oh my goodness, I don't know anything about teaching. I don't know anything about children. All I know is that I have children or I have grandchildren, but they're familiar to me. But these kids become familiar to you. And you don't need to know how to teach somebody. All you need to know is to say, hello, how are you? I'm happy to see you. This is your name. And what is this?
So we do all the training,
Yeah.
and the training, we keep it as simple as we can. There's 2 strategies. They're fairly easy to learn, wouldn't you say?
I would
Yes.
say, yes.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm really tickled that, and it's so, I'm tickled that I'm involved. I'm tickled that you guys are doing this. I'm not tickled, I'm thrilled. And the idea of making it, of encouraging children to get words right and to make sure that they can read them, it makes life so much better.
Mhm.
It's so much easier, and school much easier. Yeah.
I thought it might be kind of fun to show the books that we use. Their children do love to come to Sight Word Busters. Their teachers really build up the program, and so the kids know when the Sight Word Buster comes, they know it's their opportunity to have this undivided attention from an adult that cares about them. We may
Yes.
not remember their names, but they believe we do. And then, you know,
Yes, good
and,
for them.
And they know that we're going to make sure we've got their book, and we're going to
Yes.
be working on their page,
Yes.
and they're going to get the sticker. But the books have been beautifully designed by a graphic artist, and we are pretty happy about those. And the kids get to take them home at the end of the year,
Yeah.
and they are pretty happy to participate. May I do a little plug? Quick plug.
Please.
If anybody is interested in finding out more about Sight Word Busters, you can simply go to our website, and I would like to tell you what that website is. It is sightwordbusters .org, sightwordbusters.org, and I'm going to spell Sight Word Busters SIGHTWORDBUSTERS.org. And we have a pretty decent website. You can.
It's not pretty decent. It's decent. It's
Oh, well,
perfect.
Thank you.
It's informative and entertaining and exciting.
And there are some videos that you can see what the program looks like working with a child. And there's a button on the front page where you land that says volunteer application, so that if you're interested in filling out an application, then you can do it very easily. And we need volunteers.
Yes, yes. Okay. Wow. What now? Or actually, what do you see in the future?
She's looking at me. We like this program, and to
You
date,
do? Really?
to date, we have focused primarily on districts that are within driving reach, if you will, because Linda, in particular, and Bonnie Curtis, another member of our group who's on the board, have done most of the work driving out to these locations, doing the training, organizing the school, getting it set up on how it's going to get the volunteers into the classroom. There's a lot of pieces that have to move together. That has limited the scope of Sight Word Busters. And we feel, I think,
the mileage.
the
Being
distance
staying close,
and the
okay.
personnel being able to do all of these things. As we have expanded, we've come to the point where we realize that the existing folks, Linda, Bonnie, and others,
You.
cannot do this kind of outreach continuously. We have reached a kind of a stasis point. We
Okay.
can't expand beyond that. Our desire is to get more schools involved, get more classrooms involved, really expand the program. And so now we're having to think beyond just where we've been and say, how can we grow successfully? And so we're talking seriously about additional personnel, how to gain the abilities to move further afield, get our word out that we are able to provide these services with certain caveats. We have to have the volunteers, et cetera, et cetera. So we're looking to expand. And we've set a target this year of expanding about 15 classrooms more. and we're not sure exactly where those are going to show up. We have a waiting list, so we assume that some of them will be in that waiting list, those classrooms. But in any case, it's a real challenge to figure out how we're going to expand successfully without bogging ourselves down with throwing a program out there and not being able to service it and keep it
Not being able to sleep at night because you have to do this and that and the other thing.
Well, and the worry is that you can always have a program and you deliver it to somebody and then they don't implement it the way it needs to be implemented and it doesn't work and people get frustrated and then they say, well, Sight Word Busters didn't work for whatever reason. We don't want that. We want every program we put out there to be successful. And so that's the challenge, to make sure that we have the resources and the ability to get it out there.
Yeah.
Which is holding us up a bit, and in that the majority of us are all volunteers. But in order to create sustainability and growth, we need better revenue, we need more. And we've been very active writing grants, and hopefully that will, an impact grant will indeed be granted to our organization, which will give us the funds then to be able to hire additional staff so that we can offer. We've had schools on a waiting list now for a while, and we just cannot any longer stretch ourselves any thinner to be able to offer, but we want to, and it would be nice if any school that wanted to have Sight Word Busters in their classrooms could have it. That would be the ultimate goal,
Yes, that would be perfect. Now, so if somebody doesn't have the time to volunteer but wants to donate, that's perfectly fine with you. You'd love it if they did both.
Yes, ma'am.
But if they can only do one, then they can volunteer or they could donate. And isn't there this May thing coming up?
Correct. So there are a couple of ways to volunteer or to donate. On the website, there's a donate button, I think, on every page, if we did it correctly.
Oh. Look, here's one. Here's another. Okay.
But May 5th is a big day of giving, and it's an opportunity for everybody to support any nonprofit that they want to support.
Okay, so this is the big day of giving.
The big day of giving, and you will have an opportunity if you want to support various nonprofits. You have that opportunity, and you can donate $15 and up, however much you want, and there will be opportunities online everywhere on Facebook, so that folks can donate. That's our biggest fundraiser of the year.
What is the website of Big Day of Giving? Do you know? Or you could just look it up.
It is just bigdayofgiving.org.
Bigdayofgiving.org. Okay. Yeah. So if you want to donate, please donate. And if you want to volunteer, please volunteer.
Thank you,
Call
Susan.
the number.
Call the number.
Call the number.
Oh, we do have a number. Can we give the number?
Oh, please. Yes.
530-887-8335. 530-887-8335.
She has memorized that number. She didn't have to look anywhere. Not like me. If you're interested, call the number or log on to Sight Word Busters. Sight Word Busters. It's down here someplace, I know. sightwordbusters.org, or drop by 629 Lincoln Way in Suite 301 in Auburn, and they'd be delighted to see you. And I want to also boast for them that the Auburn Journal gave them the award for the best of the best Auburn nonprofit for 2022.
Oh, thank you.
So my guests have been Linda Lobu, who is Executive Director of Sight Word Busters. Thank you, Linda. And Steve Young, who is Board President of Sight Word Busters. It's been a pleasure to talk with you. And it's a pleasure to work with you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so very much.
We enjoy having you as a member of the team. Thank you.
Good.
Sure do.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah.
And thank you for watching.